Hello, I'm Dr. Gloria Horsley.
And I'm her daughter, Dr. Heidi Horsley.
Heidi and I want to welcome you to Open to Hope Conversations, the podcast.
We believe that the greatest gift you can give yourself after a loss is hope, using this moment to connect with others who have not only survived but thrived.
So let's get started. Welcome to the Open to Hope Show. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Horsley. I've got a couple of really interesting guests that I know you're going to enjoy hearing from. So I want to remind you that my partner and fiance, Dr. Frank Powers, in my book, Open to Love, The Secrets of Senior Dating, is now out on Amazon. And it's got a lot of tips and tools in it for you who are looking for the one like we were for a partner. And I know it's going to be very helpful for you. So go to Amazon right away. And I want to remind you that 100% of the proceeds for this book goes to the Open to Hope Foundation. So go online and order Open to Love, The Secrets of Senior Dating. Well, we have a couple of guests on today who have both lost spouses a little differently, one in a sudden death and one over time with an illness. They're both different age ranges too, which I like. So you're going to get a full scope of how it is to be a widow and how you find, and they have found passion and purpose after the loss of their spouses. First, we got Tesha McCord Poe. And we want to welcome you on the show because she has written a book with our friend Patty McGuigan, Beyond Widowhood, Inspiration from the Trenches. But let me tell you something about them first, because they, in and of themselves, are remarkable women. Tesha McCord Poe is a consultant and she works for nonprofits. She helps nonprofits raise money, and her company is called Joy Raising. And Patty McGuigan is an amazing person. She is a fabulous real estate business person, retired from the Silicon Valley. She's run the Influence Award. She's completed thousands of transactions comprising more than 25 million square feet in the Silicon Valley for over $1 billion. So that was her early career. And then the woman moves into a multi-published author. And she has published 2 children's books, Leonardo and Time Travelers and Leonardo's Magic Sketchbook. And now with Tesha, she's done this fabulous book of essays on widowhood titled Beyond Widowhood. Patty, I want to ask you, I know some of the things that you do to find passion and purpose in life after the death of your husband, Richard. And he died of, was it cancer, Patty?
Yes, he died of cancer in 19.
Yeah. So it was a long-term process. So talk a little bit about at your age, you don't have any kids at home, but you have grandkids like me. And how have you found passion and purpose? And how old are you, if you don't mind? You're in your 70s, right?
Right, my late 70s. And I really feel like one of the things that struck me is that, and it's the first essay in our book, is that what a difference a day makes. One day you're a matriarch, planning, 4th of July and making sure the rolls are there and the hot dogs, and then anyone invite Aunt Mary. And the next day your husband dies and you're hoping someone will put a hot dog in your hand. So I think one of the things you have to just face smack on and in front of you is to recreate your own social and your social life and your daily life, so that you do have a program and a passion that relates to you and not a couple. And so, I make an extraordinary effort to meet lots of people and to be involved in my community, in my business world, in our book world.
Also a bike rider, let's not forget.
Oh yeah, every single day. Every time I got sad or overwhelmed, I just got on my bike, and it forced my brain to focus on something other than just the grief that I was feeling. And I think that was just, whether you want to walk or swim or whatever it is, to do something physical that forces you out of just mournfulness.
Right. So Tessa, now you're younger.
He passed, and it was right before our 20th anniversary, and I was 49. And so I say there's no such thing as a young widow, because there's very little dignity in the status of being a widow. People don't know how to handle you in our society. And so you have to find that within yourself. Who do I now want to be? Patty says a lot, you know, the first 20 years of life, you develop yourself. And then for 20 years, you develop your children. And now 20 years to figure out who you're going to be and be that person. And so there's a lot of opportunity in that. There's a lot of choice in that. And it can also be overwhelming. So I do have two daughters who are in college, and they really are my motivation for figuring this out.
Now, let me say one thing, though, it comes up for me is I have daughters whose kids have now all gone to college this year, two of them. And so you're an empty nester also. And a
Yeah.
single on your own empty nester. Wow.
Yep.
Is that a challenge?
It is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. So I call myself an empty nested widow. So my, the walls of my house just echo, right? Because no one's here. I have a beloved cat who is sometimes the only being that I see for a day or two. So I have to be really conscious, as Patty is saying, to be social. And so some of the people I love most in the world are not driving distance from me. So I do travel. Luckily, with the work that I do as a consultant, I have a lot of flexibility around how I spend my time and where I spend my time. And so I'm very conscious about getting in the room with people that I care about.
Now, I'm curious, how did you two meet?
Oh, that's a great story. Patty and my husband worked in the same company as commercial real estate agents for decades. And while we weren't socially friends, I did know of Patty because she was one of the only women doing that work in the Valley. And so to know Patty is to know Patty, right? You don't not notice her. And so I had a lot of respect for her for a long time. When my husband died, she came to his services, and she gave me her card and said, call me, let's have lunch. And then she followed up and we had lunch. And that's the way our friendship started together.
Now, how long has your husband been dead, Patty? How long was Richard?
4.5 years.
Okay. And you, Tessa?
It'll be 3 years next month.
Okay, so you were a year and a half out there, Patty.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
You were still newly widowed, but you got it. You know, that's what I think is important, peer support and being around people who are just a little bit further out. You know, it really is helpful kind of thing. And I know, like your book, you can reach people at different levels. But I love the fact that you got together.
Right after Richard died, I hadn't done anything for my youngest grandson. And I was an English major, but I'd never written a book. And I wrote the book, and it was really fun to do it. And I did it with a co-author. And then I got the idea for this Beyond Widow, and it really was a wonderful endeavor for the two of us. So I went to lunch and I said, I got all the things in place. I know how to do this. All you have to do is write. That's all we have to do. And that's all we did. And it really resonated for both of us, you know, because we had different lens at looking at some of the same things, and some of them were different. It was really, really wonderful. It was a wonderful experience. I loved it.
You know, my husband, Phil, has been dead for 3 years. So I'm more with Tessa. And so Patty's more the out there than we are. But I will have to say that it has been a wonderful experience to write a book and meet somebody online and write a book together with Frank. We're both psychologists and met online. So it is, there's something about writing a book together that not only bonds you, but it makes you think about ideas together, and you learn from them, they learn from you. It's really co-authoring something this intense and important really does expand you, doesn't it?
Well, one thing that when I said yes, I was still pretty numb. So I didn't really know what I was saying yes to. I knew I could write, but you know, what else was I saying yes to? And there've been so many benefits of doing it. One of them is that collaboration. So you're part of a partnership for decades. And then all of a sudden, every decision is all yours. So having this deep collaboration, we had a team of people who were part of that collaboration, gave me people to work with, to decide things with, to negotiate with. And it wasn't just me. And so that about something I really cared about. right? And so that was a benefit of the project that I hadn't thought about when I said yes, but it's been such a deep part of it.
Now, Patty, I know that you consider it really important to be with younger people. You want to talk about that a little bit?
No, I think I think that's one of the absolute keys is get yourself out there, get yourself meeting people, and get friends in every decade. And I laughingly say, when I get people my own age, it's the organ recital. They go through because that's what's in their day, their doctor's appointments and their this and their that. And young people are so much, they're really living life, and I kind of want to live life, So that to me is just, and every single decade brings its own kind of fun with it. I mean, I have one that's 30 years old and she's just had a baby and she's just found out she's pregnant again. And I mean, I can remember that shock and think, oh my God, and that's really fun. I like that. And, Tesha, I can remember when my kids were going through high school and, it's just a different, you're always a mom. You're always a mom. But they pull different things from you, and I can remember that. And so, and I love seeing women who are with their careers. I think I can really help them with that one, because I was one of the first people in a very male-dominated industry, and so I really do like talking about the world and life and the role of women in it, and really it really enhances and enriches my life dramatically.
Yep. And how about you, Tessa? What do you get
Yeah.
with an older widow?
Well, I don't have friends who have lost their husbands yet in my age category. And so one of the things is Patty herself, but also Patty has brought together a group of, I think it's 7 of us. We meet, I think, every other month. She worked with each of our husbands who have now passed.
Oh, wow.
And so I think, 70 is, other than me, that's the youngest age in the group. And so I have access to all of these people who have lived quite well and are still living quite well. And I learned, like, my friends my age, they're worried about wrinkles and they're worried about, things that I know, having gone through what I've gone through, are not so important in the grand scheme of things. So there's a wisdom that I get to tap into that would take decades for me to reach. And so when I say there's no such thing as a young widow, I also have matured involuntarily in a way that I now appreciate, because I just feel like things are prioritized in a different way for me now. And so having access not just to Patty, but this group of women that she's brought together is so valuable to me.
So peer support is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And finding peer support in other people that can move along with you. Really fabulous that that's all happening. If you had some advice for an older widow, what would it be, Patty?
Well, I'll tell you, because Gloria and Tesha were both there. I think entertainment and getting out. Remember, you both met each other. I had this fellow come and talk about the wineries that women run. And we started with Madame Clicquot. She now, she's a widow at 27, and she picked up that winery when her husband died at the age of 27, and creates one of the best champagnes in the world. And in our book, we have a section of Wonder Women. And at that event, and I make a point, I do a lot of entertainment, a lot, lunches and dinners. But at that event, it was magical because we had women from all different ages, and some of them met people there, and they shared, career questions, and, with all of these women from all over the world who had done these amazing wineries, you wouldn't think. It was really, really fun. I think it was one of the best events. So I think entertaining and getting women together, again, of different ages.
If it's early on for you and you can find some people like Patty and Tessa, say yes. What advice would you give to a young widow?
So this was a lesson that took a little bit for me to realize, which is, it's like saying yes. When someone says, "Can I help you?" You say yes. And if I didn't have something in mind that felt meaningful, I'd say, "Can I reserve the right to come back to you when I can find something that I really need your help with?" Because that allows you to tailor the help to who they are, and to see people bring their best gift to you. Maybe they have a talent. I often talk about this walk that Keith would take during the pandemic, 6.5-mile walk through our community, and I would take it with him. I took it on the last day of his life with him, and then I wanted to keep taking it to just keep him close. And he would do it at 5:45 in the morning, and I had people come and join me
Oh, wow.
every day, 5:45. It'd be a different group of people, and they just showed up, so if you give the opportunity for people to show up in a way that is meaningful to you, so they're not in your way, they're not just in your space, but it's meaningful to you, it's a beautiful, beautiful part of life. And it was hard for me to be the recipient of so much, I'll call it charity, but then I realized that what I do for a living is fundraise on behalf of other people. And if I expect other people to be willing recipients of charity, then I should be able to do that as well. And that was a deep lesson that I had to learn. What I was fearful of was pity. Pity is an awful feeling. And if you're pitying someone, you need to check that emotion. And so I was resisting pity. And then when I said, okay, wait, these people love me. They care about me. They care about my children. They care about my husband. This is not pity. This is care. Right. And so when I shifted that actually helped me in my work a lot too. So I would just say, hold on. When someone says, can I help you? Say yes. And if you don't have something right away that they can do, hold on. Ask to be able to come back and tell them what it is.
Absolutely.
That's a great idea.
It is hard sometimes to receive. It's easier to give. It makes you feel more powerful. It can be difficult to receive, but I love that. Receiving, the greatest gift you can give someone sometimes is the opportunity to help you, which is amazing. And one of the things we talk about in our book, the very last chapter, is post-traumatic growth, how these experiences do cause, there's actually research on it. We all hear about post-traumatic stress, but there's been research done on post-traumatic growth and how you grow, you become more compassionate, you become more loving, you become more understanding, you grow spiritually, emotionally. They've actually studied people who have had loss compared with people who haven't had traumatic things happen. Found that these people tend to have some really strong personality characteristics. So give us a pitch for your book.
It's what we call a dip into book. It's a beautiful book. It's the inside of it, the art, it's got some humor in it. I've got cartoons. And I think it speaks to every widow, whether it's been a month or it's been 10 years. You can pick it up with your latte or your cup of tea or a glass of wine. And when you just need someone else's thought of what they did, you're going to find it in this book. It's a very warm, it's seemingly simple, warm, quick fix, I think, for widowhood.
I love it. And how about you, Tesha? You want to give us a pitch also?
Sure. I'd say part of why I said yes to writing it was because I was receiving gifts of books that freaked me out with their titles, and so I wanted to have something available to people that they wouldn't be scared to pick up. So that's why we spent so much time making sure that it was beautiful. That's why it is short essays, so that you don't feel like you have to read 50 pages of one terrible story, and that's why we have it feel more celebratory than anything that I was receiving as a gift in terms of a book. And so I feel like those books have their place. And this one is meant to be easy to give to someone. Sometimes we don't know how to show up for other people. This is a very easy gift to give to someone. It shows that you care, shows that, that beautiful, they still deserve beautiful things. And it gives them voices from Patty and I and the other widows that resonate in a way that someone who hasn't gone through the experience cannot share. And so it helps people to show up.
I love it. Thank you both. And tell us where we can find you.
Well, we have our own website called beyondwidow.com. And so that's a place to find us. And you can have any bookstore order it for you if it's not on the shelf, but it'll be in your hands in a day if you get it from Amazon, of course. And so we hope that you will.
Thank you guys for being on the show today. I really appreciate it. It's so good to see you both. And thank you, Tesha and Patty. You guys are amazing. I love you.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you for including us.
And we want to thank everybody for joining us on the show today. And all of us at the Open to Hope Foundation want to say to you, if you've lost hope, please lean on ours until you find your own, and God bless.
I'm Dr. Heidi Horsley. You have been listening to Open to Hope, the podcast. You can follow Open to Hope on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. To learn more, visit us at opentohope.com and go to Apple Podcasts to subscribe.
I'm Dr. Gloria Horsley. Join us again next week for another Open to Hope conversation, where we invite you to lean on our hope until you find your own.